tonight we have a very special guest, a flapper of the 20s. She starred in famous movies like Flaming Youth and Scarlet Letter, and was one of the most popular and beloved stars at one point. Please give a warm welcome to the one and only Colleen Moore.
Hello, everyone.
So you had a good 10 years of fame. Now tell me about your childhood and how that contributed to set off your career.
Well, first of all, I grew up in Tampa with my parents, and it wasn't until I was about 14 years old when I started to go up. So I used to always go to my aunt and uncle's place in the summer, and they lived right by this place called Esney Studios. Turns out I was a background character in one of the films, and then I started getting interested in actual filming and acting. The producer of Esney Studios owed my uncle some debt, and that's pretty much how I got famous. So I guess it was a traded deal, but hey, it all worked out. I ended up becoming a sensation, and it was an amazing experience to have lived.
This show is brought to you by York Peppermint Patties by the Hershey's Company. Get the sensation. Now tell me about all those movies you starred in. Can you tell me more about those three?
Of course, my first film pretty much set my career was The Bad Boy in 1917. I played Ruth in the film, and after I had signed with a company called Triangle Fine Arts. 2 months later, I starred in An Old-Fashioned Young Man. And my third film not long after that was Hands Up. It was a Western movie, so it required riding a horse. It was so funny because I had no clue how to ride a horse, and I didn't bother to tell anyone. So I actually had to get lessons.
How incredible. So now tell me, when do you think your career was the most powerful and why?
My most powerful period was probably in 1927 because I was a top box office draw. I was making $12,500 a week. This was most likely because of all the movies I starred in prior to this.
That's great. Your movies are all fantastic. But which ones do you think helped you get to that powerful point in your career?
Probably my most famous films like The Scarlet Letter or Flaming Youth.
You were known as a flapper, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How do you think people viewed you then?
Well, I don't want to toot my own horn here, but I think people enjoyed my films just as much as I did. And it was all an incredible experience, and if I could do it all over, I would.
That's great. And I heard about this song called Colleen. It was inspired by you. Tell me more about it and why you think it was written.
Well, it was written for the use with the film that I played in called Come On Over. The song was also released by itself. The movie itself is reputed to be for myself because it was very well suited for my reputation at the time. And so the song just contributed with the film.
There were rumors of you and Charlie Chaplin. Tell me, were they true?
Well, nothing ever happened, but I had this little crush on him.
Speaking of crushes and relationships, tell me about your marriages.
Well, as of now, I've only been married 3 times. My first husband was John McCormick. We met on my first film that we starred in. We started dating and eventually got married in 1923, but we ended up getting divorced shortly after that in 1930. Next was Albert Scott. I married him in 1932 and we got divorced in 1934. My third marriage was Homer Hargrave and we got married in 1936.
Sounds like you have had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was all so fast though.
I see that. So, since your retirement, what have you accomplished?
Well, let's see. I decided to build the grandest dollhouse, which I called the Enchanted Castle. I also had an autobiography called Silent Star published recently. That was a lot of fun.
That's lovely. Now, before you go, we have a presentation for you.
Okay, let's take a look. Wow, that was amazing. I love it.
Well, thank you, Colleen, for coming out today and sharing with us. It was great getting to know you and your fame a little better.
Thank you for having me.
Good night, everyone.